Hey guys, I'm Sia. Have you guys ever suspected your husband of something? It's that nagging feeling that he's hiding something from you. No matter how hard you try, your instincts just scream foul play. That's what happened to me only 3 years into my marriage. I married my college sweetheart, Luke. Things were always great between us, so I had no reason to worry for a long time. But one day I noticed that Luke had withdrawn himself a bit. He didn't instigate kisses or cuddles and overall seemed to not care about me anymore. At first I thought that something had happened at work. I even stupidly asked him what was wrong. He of course said nothing. Every day I would have this nagging feeling that I just couldn't shake off. At one point I wanted to go see a doctor because I thought I was being unreasonably paranoid. My family doesn't stay nearby, and I don't have much of a relationship with them anyway. There are no in-laws on my husband's side since he grew up in foster care, so there was literally no one I could talk to about this. I tried telling my friends, but they seemed confused as well. Imagine my surprise when my husband's best friend, Jake, confirmed my fears. He randomly called me at work and said, "Hey, Sia, can I talk to you for a minute? I know you're at work, but that's why I called you." "Sure, Jack, what's wrong? I'm on break, so I have time to spare." "Look, I know you must be surprised by my call, but there is something I need to tell you. You just cannot tell Luke what I told you." "What is it, Jake? I promise I won't tell Luke." "Listen to me, Sia. Have you noticed that Luke has been acting off for a while? I think you should keep an eye on him." "Oh my God, you're right, Jake. I've been wondering what's going on. He just spends so little time with me now and doesn't put any effort into our relationship anymore." I think I know the answer to that since I have my own suspicions, but I am not going to say it out loud for now. Just keep an eye on him. I don't want him to do something stupid and hurt you in the process. Jake's own doubts made me feel a little crazy, so I wasn't paranoid after all. It was a relief to know that I wasn't losing my mind, but there was the fear that I wouldn't like what made my husband change so much. He was already coming home late and wasn't even initiating conversations anymore. When I tried to talk to him, he made it seem like I was being stupid and said, "This is all in your head, Sia. I don't even know what I'm doing wrong. You're just being dramatic." "You can't deny the fact that you have withdrawn from me, Luke. You don't show me affection anymore and don't even start conversations. I'm tired of your behavior." "Oh God, you're making a problem out of nothing, Sia. I'm already tired after working long hours. You need to give me a break. You're just being stupid with your doubts." I was indeed stupid not to realize that he was gaslighting me. I tried to get on his phone but discovered that he had changed his password without telling me. That raised more alarm bells than ever. But I didn't question him straight away. I was looking for a way to find the truth without giving him the hint that I was onto something. Days passed and there was nothing on my plate. I literally couldn't find out what was going on. I was also pretty busy with work and didn't have enough time or energy to do more. So I stuck being anxious while Luke continued to ignore me. However, I got a break when I caught him talking to someone on the phone. Luke was telling someone that he would buy soy milk and make me something with it. I was immediately alarmed because I'm intolerant to soy. I am not deathly allergic, but it does cause a lot of health problems for me. I had no idea why Luke wanted to feed me something with soy. He knew that I could not and would not eat it. Since I knew his plan already, I kept vigilance on my food. I made all my meals myself and didn't allow Luke anywhere near them for a while. Luke kept getting frustrated until one day I caught him in the act. It was 2 days before me and Luke had planned to take a big vacation to a famous beach city. Everything was planned and paid for. To be honest, I was really looking forward to this trip, but Luke apparently had other plans. That morning, I saw him secretly go into the kitchen with a pack of soy milk. I followed him and saw that he was looking at the smoothie I had made for myself. As he was opening the soy milk pack, I immediately brought out my phone and started to record. I knew that my husband was up to no good. Like I said, I have been having suspicions for a while, but I hadn't thought he would go through with his cruel plans. Turns out my hunch was correct. To be honest, I had no idea why he was trying to sabotage my health by doing this. What did he even expect to achieve? My blood was boiling as I saw Luke literally dump quite a lot of soy milk into my freaking smoothie. I was fuming and ready to blow up, but I knew reacting right now would just create more problems for me. I was trying to get to the root of his intentions after all, so I secretly recorded his actions and went back to my room before he noticed me. When I came back down after a few minutes, no one would suspect that I knew anything. I won't gloat, but my poker face is strong. I casually hugged my husband and started a quick chit-chat with him. He was acting off and appeared to be nervous, but I didn't comment on it. Suddenly, he said, "Honey, your smoothie's in the kitchen. I saw it when I went to grab some protein bars from the fridge. You better drink it soon." I don't know, Luke. I don't feel like drinking it. Maybe I'll throw it out." "What? But why? It seems like a perfectly good smoothie. Why would you do that?" Luke's face easily betrayed his nervousness. When I talked about not drinking my smoothie, he immediately panicked. Anyone could see right through his bullshit. He thinks he's a good liar, but God, he's terrible at it. But, like the good wife that I am, I decided not to question my dear husband's behavior. Instead, I said, "I know it's a good smoothie, Luke. I made it myself after all. You know it's my favorite." "Yes, exactly. You made it yourself, so I don't want your efforts to go to waste. You better drink it before it goes bad. It's pretty humid out here today." "Wow, you don't want my efforts to go to waste, do you? Fine then, since my dear husband is being so caring, I will go and finish it." I walked away with a happy expression on my face while Luke still looked a little nervous. I came back with my smoothie and drank the whole thing right in front of him. As soon as my drink had been downed, Luke sighed with relief. That freaking idiot had no idea how dumb he was being, and I happily played along. The rest of the evening went by really well, and Luke was back to his normal self. Actually, he was being extra cheerful and happy, acting all cuddly and cute, talking about our travel plans. I smiled at him while inside I was fuming. He really had thought that his plan had worked. He had the freaking gall to act like everything was fine. It was disgusting. What he didn't know was that I had made 2 servings of my smoothie. One was for me, which was left on the counter. The other was in the fridge. That was meant for him. Yes, I had made my husband a smoothie too, since I share everything with him. But after today's incident, that was going to change. When I went to the kitchen to grab the smoothie, I grabbed his share from the fridge and dumped mine into the sink. Luke had no idea that I hadn't drunk the smoothie he had tampered with. I wasn't going to do that to myself. Luke, of course, thought that his plan had worked, and I acted like it did. I actually took several trips to the bathroom and pretended to throw up a couple of times for good measure. The next morning, I pretended to be very sick. Luke took one look at me and said, "Oh God, you're in a horrible condition, Sia. You threw up all night and now you look too sick to move. What happened, honey?" "I don't know, Luke. I don't feel very well. It might be food poisoning or something. Must be the takeout I had for lunch. I should have known better than to trust that badly rated place near my office." "Yes, you should have known better. You are so sick, honey. How will you make it to our vacation today? Our flight is tomorrow." I was amazed how instead of being concerned about me, he was more interested in talking about the trip. The trip was at the top of his list of concerns, while his wife was sick due to his own actions. The situation was getting more and more baffling by the second. I was immediately annoyed, but didn't show it. I decided to protest a little and said, "I will try to get better. The trip hopefully won't be a problem. I only need to rest for a while and see what happens. I will take some meds as well. Well, you don't have to be so hard on yourself. Take all the time you need, honey. You just rest and see what happens. To be honest, you don't look like you will get better anytime soon. I really hope I do, Luke. I've been waiting for this trip for so long. We can't just cancel it. We will lose a lot of money since everything is non-refundable. Oh, we won't have to cancel it. We will worry about it later. I'm sure we'll come up with something. It's not wise for you to go on the trip, especially in this condition. You just focus on getting better. Leave all the worries about the trip to me. Now, that got me really interested. He was openly hinting that he already had a plan in mind. He had already thought of a way to make something of the trip, even if I couldn't join him. That had alarm bells going off in my head immediately. I was starting to think that maybe all this was to make me miss the trip, but I still had no idea why he wanted me out of the trip. Even if he goes alone, which he shouldn't, we would be losing money for cancelling my portion. I was a little confused but had my doubts. I was so in love with Luke that I still hoped it wasn't as bad as I was doubting. As the day progressed, a lot of things flew through my mind. First of all, I can't digest soy at all. My entire system would be disrupted every time I had soy by mistake. It would take me a good 2 days to overcome the stomach problems, and I usually feel like shit even after that. So if I had magically pretended to be okay and joined Luke on the trip, he would be suspicious. Plus, I wanted to know what the hell Luke was thinking when he tried to get me off the trip. So I pretended to be sick for the rest of that day too, until Luke came and said, "Honey, you still don't look very good. You have already taken several trips to the bathroom. I don't think you're in any shape to travel." Oh God, I do feel awful, Luke. I don't know what happened to me. I really wanted to go on this trip. Sia, your health is more important than a damn trip. You need to stay back and get yourself back to good health immediately. You can't make it to this trip. I guess you're right, Luke. But cancelling it would be such a waste of money. God, why did we book a non-refundable trip? I fake lamented while Luke comforted me. It almost felt like he cared, but I knew him better than that now. I knew he had something planned and he was going to reveal it soon. As he calmed me down with a soothing voice, he said, "You know what, Sia? I agree that cancelling the trip will be a waste of money. I think we should come up with a better plan." I don't know what to do, Luke. I'm too tired to come up with something. Do you have a plan in mind? Actually, I do. So I was thinking maybe I can do this trip with a friend. I can take Jack with me. We won't have to cancel the trip and lose money that way. Jack would be happy to join me. You and I can redo this trip for our next anniversary. I almost showed the shock on my face when Luke said that. I knew for a fact that Jack wouldn't go with him on this trip. His freaking mother was in the hospital and I knew about it. I guess Luke thought that I wouldn't be able to reach him since he's not answering his phone due to him being with his mom. But he didn't know that Jack was the one who alerted me about Luke in the first place. I kept my mouth shut while he rambled about how this was the best option and that he would definitely make it up to me next year. I heard him go on and on until I finally gave in and said, "Okay, you got a point, Luke. It really would be a waste of money for us to cancel everything completely. Since everything is paid for, I guess you and Jack going would be the best option." I know you're sad, but this is for your own good, Sia. You know I don't want you to stress over this and get on a plane while being super sick. I promise next year we will redo this trip. Yeah, we can always go again next year. We will even save up and make a better tour plan. Maybe this is for the best after all. I pretended to be sad but resigned to the fact that Luke and Jack would go on this trip. He bought my fake behavior and was satisfied that his plan was successful. Suddenly, he seemed overly excited about this trip. telling me about how he would send me pictures and bring me gifts. He stopped faking his concern for my health while I lay in bed speechless. I didn't recognize the man I loved anymore. I was cursing the day I met him. I kept quiet because I knew I would snap if I opened my mouth. Thankfully, Luke didn't push, probably because he was scared I would change his mind later. Luke happily left for the trip the next day. We already had suitcases packed, so there was nothing to worry about. It made me suddenly remember how he insisted on having separate suitcases for our clothes. I guess he had been planning this for a while now. In most probability, he planned this the moment I booked the trip. I was crushed inside, but put on a happy face while he left. As soon as I knew he was on his flight, I immediately called Jack. I said, "Jack, you were right. Luke left for the trip without me, and he said that he was taking you instead of him. I'm still at the hospital, Sia. I wouldn't have agreed to go on this trip even if my mom wasn't sick. I knew how much you were looking forward to it. This is just plain wrong." "Why is he doing this, Jake? Tell me the truth. Is he cheating on me?" "I can't say for sure, but I think he is, Sia. He had been talking about this girl from a bar that we went to a few months back. Maybe there is something going on. He knows I don't support cheating, so he didn't tell me." My worst suspicions were proven to be true. I had honestly been hoping to be proven wrong, but the truth was right before me. I talked to Jake some more and realized that Luke had been seeing his mistress while telling me that he was hanging out with Jake. Meanwhile, Jake had no idea that Luke was lying to him and using his name to cover his cheating. He was as furious as I was. Together, we decided that enough is enough. We both needed to teach him a lesson. I talked to Jake some more and then hung up. What I did next was to book a flight to the same beach destination. It was the first step of my plan of revenge. 2 days later, I reached the beach city and drove straight to the hotel where me and my husband were supposed to be staying. I gave them 2 days to enjoy their little escapade while I planned my next move. At the hotel, I explained my situation to the management and showed them all the proof. They graciously let me use the common areas to wait to catch my husband red-handed. I didn't just spring up on them immediately. I took my sweet time taking pictures of their PDAs while rage built up inside me. It was at the hotel restaurant where I had confronted them. They were happily giggling and kissing each other when I walked in. Luke took one look at me and his expression turned pale. He immediately detached himself from his mistress and said in a scared voice, "Sia, honey, what are you doing here? Are you asking me why I am on a vacation that I paid for? Also, where is Jake? I thought you brought him here with you." "Oh, Jake is here somewhere. He went to grab a drink. He'll be back in a minute." So, Jake left his sick mom in the hospital and is playing hookup games with you on our trip? Is that the story you're going for? Still doesn't explain why you had your tongue down the throat of a random woman. "You're misunderstanding us, Sia. That's nothing like you said. You are just jumping to conclusions. We just met at the hotel and decided to hang out together." So Luke decided to keep manipulating me with lies. He was trying to make me believe that nothing was going on between them. I was sick of his antics and decided to end this drama once and for all. I pulled out my phone and showed him all the proof I had. The video of him messing up my food, him kissing his mistress, and texts between Luke and Jake where Luke was begging him to cover up his affair. Yes, that morning Jake had texted Luke in the pretense that I was asking him questions about the trip. He faked being confused, and Luke was forced to reveal the truth to him. That way, I had more proof of his cheating. When Luke was confronted with all that evidence, he looked panicked and started to beg. He said, "Sia, I'm so sorry, honey. This was a big mistake. I promise this will never happen again. I will send back my affair partner, and we can have this trip together. You were here already. Let's work this out." Don't make me laugh, Luke. You have to be a special kind of delusional if you think I would continue this marriage, let alone this trip. I'm freaking done with you. As for your affair partner, she can have you. I don't want spoiled goods anyway. And by the way, I have already filed for divorce yesterday. For what you should know, enjoy your vacation, Luke. No, wait, Sia, come back, honey. Let's talk this out, please. Just listen to me. I left the hotel. As Luke was running towards me, I quickly flagged the taxi and went straight back to the airport. Luke wasn't fast enough to catch me. I'd already spent a good bit of money to book flights last minute, so I wasn't going to stick around and lose more. I took a flight back home to prepare for my exit. As soon as I was back, I cancelled the room and flights that Luke had booked with my credit card. Some of the activities were supposed to be on Luke's card, so that's all he had, since I cancelled everything else. Luke, of course, kept blowing up my phone with prayers and curses. I simply kept forwarding those texts to my lawyer while I blocked his number. The next morning I took my stuff and moved out of the house. In the days that followed, Luke tried his best to bring me back home. We paid for everything 50-50, so there was no way for him to continue living our life without my income. He was forced to terminate the lease early and move into a very small shared apartment. Jake is no longer in contact with Luke and has told him never to darken his doorstep again. So basically he has no one right now. The affair partner dropped him as soon as she realized Luke would be losing money in the divorce. I guess she also had the fear of being slapped with an alienation of affection lawsuit. Speaking of a lawsuit, I did end up pressing charges against Luke for intentionally sabotaging my food. Yes, you can press charges for that. Coupled with the divorce, Luke is in serious trouble. Thankfully for me, he agreed to a mutual divorce with a hefty settlement to make those changes go away. I took it, of course, because I wanted to make the most of the situation. We have been completely divorced for about 6 months now, but Luke still keeps trying to get me back. I have told him, and I am telling you guys, that it will never happen. I'm now back in the dating world and finally having a great time instead of worrying about what my husband is up to behind my back.